My name is Luke, and I am the pretty boy, tough guy carver. I'm a half Nishka, half Haida, 50 something indigenous man. I've been a professional artist for the last 20 plus years. I was a professor for 10, and I've been an amateur game designer for the last 4. This is a weekly vlog where I'll play a solo board game and talk about my current art projects, the games I'm designing, some things I'm into, some past artworks, and my never ending battle to regain my health. Hello there, everybody. Hello there, shiny, happy people. This is Luke here with another episode of the Pretty Boy Tough Guy Carver. This week's episode is called Stop Dwelling and Start Moving. And the game I'm playing this week is the Guild of Merchant Explorers, designed by Matthew Dunstan and Brett J. Gilbert, with art by Geralt Landman. And this blog we'll go over from dates from January 25th to February 2nd. It's a bit longer than normal. So yeah, this will be a bit of a short one. I mean, it's typically normal length, but so basically what I'm going to do is instead of dropping these on Fridays, I'm going to start dropping them Monday. That's mostly because I noticed the last couple of Mondays a lot of a lot of content on YouTube from a lot of the game people that I follow they're all dropping stuff on Monday mornings and Wednesdays. I don't want to drop stuff on Wednesdays, so what I'll do is start dropping these videos on Mondays, which actually makes more sense if you think about it, because I really want to have good work weeks, like from Monday to Friday work weeks, and then that way I can film the videos and edit them on Saturday and Sunday, sort of piecemeal over the first 2 days. Yeah, so it was kind of a weird week also because my mother had to go to Vancouver for a doctor's appointment. And so I went with her as her escort. And so it kind of messed with my diet in the sense of eating out while I was there. I was only there for 2 days basically. I left on Wednesday and came back on Friday. And actually, I didn't finish any of my meals when I was eating there. Uh, I'll go over my food journal later. Yeah, so so that's it. So after this, these videos will drop every Monday morning, hopefully. Um, so when I was in Vancouver, it was a good little trip actually. So like I said, my diet was a bit messed up because I only bought groceries for a couple of days, so I didn't want to buy anything that would go to waste. And so when I got back, obviously I didn't really have any foods, and uh, the diet wasn't great this week. I'll be honest with you. Uh, Honestly, I feel really good, but nothing was really that great to be honest. And so the trip to Vancouver was cool. I went to Rain City Games in just off of Gastown there, and they had a playtest group. So that was really exciting. Um, I didn't bring any games because I didn't want to be like just show up and be like, "Hey, come test my game." Because I don't really know those guys. And yeah, so that was great. They were really kind though. They're really nice. It was nice to meet them. Got to see some people test their games, and you know, it's cool to see people believe in their games and just putting themselves out there. It was really helpful. I follow the guys on Instagram, and I'm gonna, comment on their stuff and, try to get to know them a little better. So the next time I'm in town, I can, send them some stuff. And maybe if they want me to test any print and plays, I can do that just so I can be part of their community. I think that'd be great because that's one of the things I got to do is start become a bigger part of the community. And so the game I'm playing this week, like I said earlier, is the Guild of Merchant Explorers, um, published by AEG. It's actually a really good little game in a big box. For some reason, it's really weird because like I got it home and it was light, so I opened up the box and it was just like, with the exception of the boards, like if it wasn't for the boards, it would literally be like a couple components and some chips. So it was kind of like, wow, I don't need this big box. And so I played it and I was like, wow, this is a really good game. And I had these two, if you look at the top of the screen, I had these two old little travel poker kits I made years ago when I used to work in the wood shop at Ontario College of Art and Design University. And so they're really cheap chips. I can't remember where I got them. I think my mom bought them for me. They're like Playboy chips, so they have a little Playboy symbol on them, and they're super cheap. Yeah, and so I thought, well, I could use the chips instead of they come with these little tokens for the money, And so I'm probably just going to play this solo for the most part, so I don't really need to hide my chips. Yeah, and so it worked out great actually because I could put the cards inside because there's the little travel kits have like room for chips on either side with a room for deck of cards in the middle, and so I was able to put like the cards and stuff in the middle. And so it takes up with the two poker kits and like the cubes and stuff. It takes up around 3/4 of the box now and gives it a little bit of gravitas. And it looks cool. I'm actually gonna work on the poker kits a little bit. The walnut needs to be oiled. I'm not gonna oil it. I'll wax it. It needs a little waxing to make it look nice and pretty again. And I'm thinking about putting a hinge on it, but that wouldn't really work. I don't think. Like it needs to. Maybe it would work. Yeah, it ended up just taking up too much space if I had a hinge on it. If they weren't, I'll just leave it. I'm still gonna pretty it up a little bit. Maybe glue some leather on. There used to be there's slots on them where I strapped them together. Like I said, they were tended to be travel poker kits. So, but I'm gonna put some leather in there just to make it look nice and wax up the walnut part. It's gonna look pretty. It's gonna look good. Very deluxe. Yeah. So like I said, on as far as the play goes, like I said, you have like five, six, seven, eight, nine cards. You draw, sixth and seventh and eighth and nine, and you have all these bonuses, and you have these like whenever you draw like one of the Roman numerals, you get to pick between two bonuses, and they're really big bonuses, like they make a huge difference in your game. And the people who reviewed this game call it like a non flipping right, or you're sort of flipping and you're putting on these little tokens instead of like drawing on the board. I guess it could have been rolling right, but just the tactile feeling of moving cubes around is kind of nice. It adds to it. I really like it. I'd love to see like a big board version with people playing on the same board and sort of leaving the cubes on and like getting each other's way, but like friendly. No combat because it's supposed to be exploring. But I could really envision something really amazing for this game. It's a really great game as it is. Like I love it. I played it like 4 times already, and I've only had it since Friday. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, so my health and fitness. I'm not gonna do a weigh-in this week because, like I said, it was a weird week. I ate really badly. I was traveling. I did walk a lot when I was in Vancouver, but I was just sweating. Like that's one of the reasons I didn't sit down and play test either. Because like by the time I got to the game shop, I was just sweating like a dog, like just drenched. My inside shirt was drenched, because I'm out of shape. But it really felt good to walk. It really felt good to be in the city, and so I really need to walk more. It really does help. Like it really does make you feel a bit happier. So I definitely got to do that more now. So yeah, so I'm not gonna weigh myself. I'll weigh myself for next week, for next week's blog, because really I just don't need that kind of negativity right now. I need positivity. Yeah, so I'm gonna think positive. I'm gonna send out positive vibes to the world. I'm gonna be grateful for all that I have. I'm gonna be grateful for all the things I've been given. I often focus on negative things in my life. I have this really bad habit of like reliving past events, where I made a fool of myself or as like the victim of some sort of injustice or people made fun of me, or talked loudly behind my back so I could hear them. Yeah, and it's useless. Like it doesn't help me at all to think about those things and just dwell on them and relive them. It makes me really angry, and I sort of look like I end up. If you saw me, there's cameras in my house. You'd see me like swinging my arms around, like pretending I'm like fighting them. Like I don't know. It's not good. So I gotta stay positive and think of the times when things were good. Think of the times when I was with my friends and we were laughing hard. Like there's been times in my life when I laughed so hard I almost passed out. Like literally, like things all started to go black because I was like laughing so hard. And I gotta try to remember those times and when I think of those times. Because like I'm not a time traveler. I can't send my conscious back in time to my younger self and do the right thing. I can't send my conscious back in time and react the way I wish I had. I can't send my conscious back in time to like stand up for myself like I think I should have. And most importantly, I can't send my conscious back in time to like not hurt the people who I hurt, the people who didn't deserve to be hurt. And I can't go back in time and change my regrets. I can just work on myself and do better and apologize where I can. And just not dwell. The past made me who I am. the good things and the bad things, made me the person I am today, and I have to show acceptance of myself, and show gratitude for everything, for the good things and the bad. And there's things I would change if I could. People say, "Oh, I wouldn't change anything." It's like, I know there's things I would change. I would sacrifice, my success to not hurt some people who I did. But like I said, I can't dwell on that. Like, I can't, I can't do that. I'm not time travel, so it's impossible to do. So why dwell on it? Accept it and understand that it's a part of you or a part of me, and just try to move on. Keep it, but don't keep it in a place where it can bubble up anytime you're feeling low. Keep it in a place where you remember it, but you don't live it. That's a problem. Living it, like reliving these things. That's what I'm doing, and I really gotta stop reliving these sort of things. And I have to remember that I don't have a destiny. There's no destiny in my life. There's no pre-plan to my life. I'm in control. I have choices. I can make choices in my life. I can make choices. I can work harder. I can be more supportive of people that I care about. I can just show up for people that I care about. Show up for people in the community. Go to events. Show myself. Help people. And I've heard like a good way to heal yourself is just to help someone else, and I really need to do that. Like, I think some people in my family really could use my support. Just be there, just to be there and tell them I love them and so on and so forth. And yeah, why not? I mean, yeah, and like I said, I don't have a picture of my workout board this week either because it hasn't changed. But like I said, when I was in Vancouver for a day and a half, I did do a lot of walking. Like 5,000 steps one day and 7,000 steps the next day, and then another like 3,000 steps the other day, which is better than very little, which is what I normally do. So like I said, I did a lot of walking. It felt good. It was refreshing, and it was really rejuvenating. Like, it really felt good. It was cold, like, so there was like a bite in the air, which made it feel even better. But yes, I definitely need to walk more. I think I underestimate how important walking is. I used to walk all the time when I was young, like, because I was poor, right? So I would try to save money on transit, and I just walk everywhere I needed to go in the city, in Vancouver and Toronto. So I just leave like an hour early. I'd be sweaty. Everybody would always be like, "Oh, Luke's always sweaty," because even when I'm in shape, I sweat a lot. Like, I'm just like I got the afterburner, and so like, but whatever. I enjoyed it. I'd have money for extra stuff at the end of the week, and I'd stay in shape. And yeah, plus working out and walking all the time and just being in the city and living in the city. And and I remember one time I met this guy, and I just met him, like, but I spent quite a few years living in East Van when I was a teenager, and I met this guy, like, I don't know, when I was like 19, and he was like from a group of other friends. Like, my friends met up, sort of like two different groups meeting, and the guy looks at me, he's like, "Hey, I know who you are." I was like, he goes, "You're the guy who walks around East Van, right?" I was like, "What? You used to walk around?" Or no, he said, "You're the guy who used to walk around East Van." And I was like, he goes, "Like, with the backwards hat?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I seen you around, man." It's so funny. Like, it's just like some guy that I never even met. Like, it was hilarious. Vancouver used to be a really small city, and East Van was even smaller. Yeah, so like I said, nothing in the workout board. There will be some stuff next week. Some walks will be done, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about actually just changing the way I do this because, yeah, like I said, it just makes it a little easier. So my food journal for the week. So there's 9 days on this one because I'm moving from the schedule from Fridays to Mondays. And yeah, so Thursday I had eggs and toast and pizza for lunch because I had pizza the night before with my nephews for a game night, and I had hamburger and rice with mushroom sauce for dinner. And then Friday I had pancakes for breakfast and tomato soup and breadsticks for lunch and chicken and bread for dinner. It was very good. On Saturday I had eggs and toast. I had some nacho chips and some pepperoni and some chicken burgers. And Sunday I had eggs, bacon, and toast and some chow mein for lunch and chili with the nachos. I bought the nachos for the chili. Monday I had eggs and toast and Ichiban for lunch. Ichiban, it's ramen. I had chicken and rice for dinner and some hot chocolate in the evening. Tuesday I had an egg sandwich, chow mein for lunch. I made some salmon and had with some rice. And I had some hot chocolate and toast in the evening. And Wednesday I had burgers and fries for lunch, brunch. had Chinese food for dinner and chocolate chunk cookies and pop. That was when I was in Vancouver. So yeah, on Thursday we had burgers and tots for lunch. Had some sushi for dinner and some pop, and I had chocolate chunk cookies and more pop. And when I was in Vancouver, I was only eating about half my meals. I mean, like I'd eat like half the meal, leave half the meal in the thing, so it wasn't as bad as it looks. It is not good though. And Friday I had a chicken sandwich with chips for lunch, and then I had McDonald's for dinner. Ugh. You know, I loved it, but it wasn't good. And so art projects I'm working on, like I said, I didn't do too much because I was traveling and I just didn't do anything. And I did a lot of game design last week, so which is really cool. So that's why I don't feel bad. But my deadline's coming on that piece, so I'll get on it this week. So what I need to do is I really want to carve out the back of that mask so that the figure's showing more, so it's more sticking out. So it's supposed to be sort of ethereal and sort of cosmic. So I'm gonna make that figure be more prominent, and I really want the back to sort of flow really nicely. So that's what I gotta do for work on that mask. And so games I'm working on. So I did a lot of work this week. I finished the prototype pages for Neon Native Art Explosion. I tested a couple player counts. I wrote up a feedback sheet. I made a rule book, and I filmed a how-to video, which I'll edit tomorrow, I guess. The rule book looks good. It'll need some editing, obviously, because I can't see the things I can't see, so I'll have to send it out to get. Hopefully, I have some friends who will want to do some editing for me. And I also came up with a few game ideas, which I always do, which is awesome. One seems solid, one seems okay, and I'll write it all down in case they go somewhere. And I need to work on Three Ravens as well, because it really just needs art. I think it needs some more testing, but it's almost there. And like I said, if I wasn't feeling so sweaty and feeling so unhealthy, I would have hung around and tested some games with those guys. And so the games I played this week, I played The Lost Ruins of Arnak. That was on my shelf of Shamertunity for quite some time. I got it out and played a solo game. Well, 3/4 of a solo game. I need to get back to it. And of course, I played Dorfromantik a couple times because I really love that game. I didn't play too many games last week. I was doing a lot of game design, and I was really into it. Like making the rule book and making the feedback sheet and stuff was a lot of work. And filming the how to play video and also just fixing up the sheets. The sheets look really great now for the prototype. So it was a lot of work. I actually did a lot of work on that. And so channels I watched. I watched a live play of Wormspan on Foster the Meeple, which is really good. That was an excellent playthrough. A lot of the playthroughs I don't care for. It just doesn't translate. Like, people are talking, they're doing things, and I don't know. But that one was excellent. I think it was because the way they interact with the audience and just their personalities are really, they're very charismatic, and when they're together especially, they're very charismatic, and it really translates to good entertainment. And the way they interact with their audience I guess they have Discord, I guess, I'm not sure. Oh no, I think I talked to them I sent them questions on YouTube Live. Yeah, it was on YouTube Live, so I actually made a couple witty comments. It looks like, and I also watched a couple of news updates from Alex from the Board Game Company. I've gotten back on board with Alex. I was a little annoyed with Board Game Company with their stance on AI, or plagiarism software, as I call it. Because it's that's ruining people's lives. It's taking away their livelihood. And I watched a solo game recap from the Board Game Garden. She talked about the game she played in January. And she's really charismatic as well. Like, I really enjoyed listening to her talk about stuff. Same with Alex. That's why I'm back on board. He's very charismatic as well. And apparently they're all going to Level Up Retreat, or they have, I guess, by the time this goes. It looks like a lot of fun. It's way over on the East Coast. There I won't be going. And I've noticed a lot of buzz lately around Voidfall. Like, it's super huge. It makes me wonder, like, did they pay for advertising? Like, pay for people to talk about the game? Or is this all just or is it game just delivering now and people are talking about it? Because there wasn't any buzz about it at all for a long time, and all of a sudden, boom, like, all this buzz. So I'm not sure how that works. I know there's some CD stuff that goes on in the board game community, and I just don't know what is CD and what is just people loving games. Like, it's hard to figure out. It looks good though. Like, I have to admit, I was kind of tempted to buy it. My mom asked me to, because she bought me a game from 401 Games, and she gets emails from 401 talking about games, and she's like, "Are you getting that game Voidfall?" And I'm like, "No, it's kind of expensive, so I don't know. Maybe she'll order it for me. I don't know. If she orders it, I'll play it because it looks good. Looks like a lot to set up though." Yeah, media content tipped in. I watched the NFL conference finals on Sunday, and unfortunately, two teams that I can't stand made it through. So it's pretty sucky. And I'll watch the Super Bowl, of course, but either team winning will make me sad because I really don't care for either team. I'll cheer for the 49ers over the Chiefs because I don't like the Chiefs' name. I think it's racist. People can disagree with me, but I'm Indigenous and I think it's racist. And I rewatched the documentary about Bill Watterson, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes. It's okay. I mean, it was just a filler. I mean, it's not the greatest documentary. It's not in depth or anything, but Calvin and Hobbes is one of my favorite. It's my favorite comic strip of all time. It's one of my favorite comic book stories of all time. Favorite novels, whatever. I've got the deluxe edition of all those strips, and I've read them a billion times. And I watched a really bad movie about a pretty standard time loop starring what's his face from Adam Sandberg. Yeah, it wasn't great. I love time travel movies, but they could have used some more editing or maybe a couple more people in the writer's room. And I also started listening to board game podcasts this week, like a board game design podcast. I'm really into it. Like, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, so far so good. And so my goals for next week: to go for 3 walks around the block, work out at least once and do the treadmill at least once, buy healthy groceries and start carving and painting, and send out my playtesting package because I do have one person who wants to playtest it. So yeah, and so the final score for this game was I made 143 points, which puts me in the average zone, and I was successful because I achieved all my goals. So yeah, good. And so the artwork I'm going to be talking about this week is called The Bear Mother. And so I did this quite a few years ago, originally as something for Indigenous Day. And each section was actually a different post. It was made for Instagram. And so the files are really tiny. I ended up blowing it up to like 3 feet by 3 feet for the show, and you can see all the pixels. It was hilarious. But yeah, so originally, like, in each square was an individual art piece, and it said, "You are a colonist," in I think 16 different languages. I just went like on Google Translate and translated "You are a colonist," and sort of was my attitude about colonialism is that we're not in a post-colonial world. We're in a colonial world, and people are born colonists. Like, Indigenous issues haven't been resolved, so how can you possibly say you're in a post-colonial world? Hi there, yeah. So I did a pretty good job of finishing up this whole experiment, trying to do one playthrough, but I didn't quite get there. So I have to redo the ending because there's just a lot of like quietness and not saying anything. And so yeah, so this is the end of the video, and I'm just sort of trying to record a new end. I was talking about The Bear Mother and how I felt about it. Was a piece about calling out colonialism, and like I said, it was a really important piece for my career. Like, it really turned a lot of heads, and it was an experiment. So I'm really happy with it, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. Yeah, so thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Like I said, these new ones will drop next Monday. Thank you, and have a great week. Thank you for viewing my channel, and I hope you will continue to tune in. The old man once said, life is a journey, and if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. So this is me, stopping and looking around, because I have been missing it. These are a few of my socials. Please follow those and this channel as well. Thank you, and be well.